Welcome again to Digital Training Hub. This is Lesson 3 on communication skills. In this lesson we are going to learn how to establish and maintain a communication path. Learning outcome. By the end of the lesson, learners should be able to establish, maintain, and review pathways of communication to meet the requirements of the organization and workforce. Learning activities 1. Establish pathways of communication to meet the requirements of the organization and workforce. Special instructions. Role-play different types of pathways of communication. Learning activities 2. Maintain and review pathways to ensure personnel are informed of relevant information. Introduction. This learning outcome involves establishing, maintaining, and reviewing pathways of communication to meet the requirements of the organization and workforce. Definition of key terms. Communication pathways. This refers to an established connection between two endpoints, with each endpoint on a separate zone or server. Pathways of communication are established to meet the requirements of the organization and workforce. Communication pathways involve ways of better engagement with colleagues and clients in an organization. Through communication pathways, a more inclusive and diverse workplace is realized. It is therefore important to establish internal communication arrangements on communication channels like messages, telephone calls, and meetings, among others. Such arrangements create structured connections between the organizations and the employees. Importance of establishing communication pathways to improve the effectiveness of the organization. To keep everyone informed of what is happening in the organization. To allow quick and efficient response to changes and emergencies. To create an openness in the organization. To promote collegiality, thus making the organization a good workplace. Importance of establishing communication pathways to create a sense of ownership of the organization. To create equity and fairness within the organization. To show respect for every individual in the organization. How to establish communication pathways. Effective communication between the organization and its employees is essential to fully tap into the unique talents, insights, and knowledge of people. The benefits of effective communication within an organization go beyond profits. A strong community within an organization is realized, thus allowing employees to be happy and confident. In such a state, it is possible to outperform the set expectations. In order to establish communication pathways, the following steps should be taken. Enabling the organization's wide conversations, i.e., creates ways through which employees can exchange information, ideas, and questions. This can be realized through chat rooms and list servers. Through this, employees are empowered to seek answers from their colleagues, thus strengthening their connections and transfer of knowledge. Improve both horizontal and vertical connections. In order to establish effective communication pathways, peer-to-peer communications must be improved, i.e., horizontal communication. This can be realized through HipChat, Slack, and other internet retry chat services. Programs that connect employees at all levels must be put in place when establishing effective communication pathways, i.e., vertical communication. Through these, employees get empowered to voice their issues and topics that matter to them. Establishing vertical and horizontal communication pathways increases transparency and helps in tracking employee suggestions and harnessing the wisdom of the crowd. This also makes managers and owners to be more accountable for the investment of energy and time in brainstorming ideas. Also improves customer service. Plan a budget. Communication pathways cannot be established successfully without resources. Thus, an evaluation must be done on how to build stronger relationships through sharing concerns and getting constructive feedback. An honest consideration on the use of these pathways must be taken. Measure the effectiveness and the impacts of the pathways established. Analyze the productivity changes, profits, and sales realized. Check on the employees' satisfaction, i.e., fulfillment at work, and their happiness. Check on the retention rates of the staff. Create change through leadership. Through organizational leadership, change in communication pathways can be realized. The top leadership of the organization should feel free to share rates, engage other workers, and be transparent. They can also give direction and advice. Most employees feel free when they are engaged by the top leadership in a free and transparent manner. Types of communication pathways. There are two types of communication pathways in an organization, namely, formal, informal. 1.0 Formal communication pathway. Communication takes place through the channels of messages that are officially designated between positions in organizations. Types of formal communication pathways include downward communication, vertical communication, upward communication. Vertical communication, horizontal communication, lateral communication. Downward communication refers to where information flows from the upper level of the organization to the lower level, e.g. managers to subordinates. Upward communication refers to where communication flows from the lower levels to the higher levels in an organization, i.e. initiated by the junior staff to the senior staff in an organization. Horizontal communication refers to the pathway where communication flows from one functional area to the other at the same level in the organization, e.g. from manager to manager, etc. 2.0 Informal communication pathway. This pathway involves episodes of interaction that do not follow the officially designated communication channels in an organization. Involves grapevine, which emerges from personal and social interests of the employees. This communication pathway creates a comfortable climate in an organization. Pathways are maintained and reviewed to ensure personnel are informed of relevant information. Communication flow in an organization should be maintained and reviewed when necessary to foster the productivity and effectiveness of the employees. This can be achieved by researching on the communication pathways in an organization and understanding them. In so doing, the effectiveness of each pathway must be a pathway determined. Thus, it is possible to review, adjust a pathway based on its effectiveness. Maintaining and reviewing communication pathways require clearly set objectives and plans. Thus, it is easy to determine whether a pathway is effective or not. It is also prudent to address the business problem in the communication pathways, flows. This will keep the employees informed and engaged in the problem-solving process. Through this means the communication pathways will remain active. There is a need to identify and assemble the key champions and stakeholders in the pathways. The key stakeholders and champions of communication in an organization should be utilized to effectively reach communication aims. Aligning internal and external communication plans. Understand the available communication tools. It is important to assess and understand the tools at your disposal that can be used for communication purposes. Insisting on communication pathways that require tools that are not at the organization's disposal won't be viable. Thus, maintaining communication flow channels require a clear understanding and assessment of tools. Creating consistency in communicating, i.e. obeying organizational standards and procedures. Thus, a sense of ownership among employees will be realized and maintained. Catering for two-way communications. Maintaining communication flows require feedback. This must be encouraged to make the pathways live and active. Ensuring the communication plan of an organization is inclusive. Through this, every employee is brought on board and their interests and differences are catered for. Planning for emergencies, i.e. contingencies and disasters. The communication flow in an organization can be maintained and reviewed as long as the crisis has been catered for. Conclusion. This covered establishment of communication pathways to meet the requirements of the workplace. It has also looked into the skills of maintaining and reviewing of communication flows. It has equally demonstrated different types of communication pathways. Further reading de Ritter, A. 2004. Organizational Communication in Support of Employees. Human Resources Management Journal, 14, 3, 20-30. Dobos, J. 1992. Gratification Models of Satisfaction and Choice of Communication Channels in Organizations. Communication Research, 19, 1, 29-51. Hoover, G. 2005. Maintaining Employee Engagement When Communicating Different Issues. Communication World, November to December 25-27. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next lesson. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notification button to receive alerts when new content is released.